I'm calling the University Place City Council regular meeting to order on Monday, April 6, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. City Clerk, may you do a roll call?
Yes, Councilmember Figueroa.
Present.
Councilmember Boykin.
Here.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Here.
Councilmember Wood.
Present.
Councilmember Grassi.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey.
I'm here.
Mayor Fleming.
May I have a motion to approve that Mayor Fleming's absence?
I'll make a motion to excuse Mayor Fleming.
Second.
Okay, I hear a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right. So may I have Councilmember Boykin for the Pledge of Allegiance?
It would be my pleasure, Mayor Pro Tem, if you would rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. May I have a call for a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. May I ask the council if we could move the Black Wellness Week proclamation to be presented first this evening?
Yes.
Do I have the head nods?
It does.
Anyone not in favor of that? Nope. Okay. So we will do that first. Thank you. And with that adjustment to the agenda, may I have a vote for the agenda approval?
Oh, we did.
We did the first and the second, and we did the accommodation of the agenda as adjusted.
So,
Okay.
all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed? No opposed. Okay, so let's go to our presentation. And Councilmember Boykin, will you be so kind as to present the proclamation to Christina Blocker, founder of the Momentum Professional Strategies Partners, for our Black Wellness Week proclamation?
Mayor Pro Tem, it would be my pleasure. I think I will keep my seat, I should say, as I begin to share a couple of things based upon Mayor Pro Tem's direction. We have among us what I believe to be a very impactful leader. Her name is Christina Blocker, and she is the managing partner for Momentum. She believes that sustainable change happens when community voice leads the way, and when organizations build the infrastructure to sustain it. For the past decade, she's designed and led statewide initiatives at the intersection of health equity, strategic communications, and community power building. Through her partnership with the Washington State Department of Health, she's directed campaigns reaching over 1 million residents, built coalitions of 50-plus community organizations, and helped institutionalize Black Wellness Week through gubernatorial proclamations from both Governor Inslee and Governor Ferguson. Her work spans health equity and her environmental justice as well as cultural access creates an impact that is formidable. She has been part of Washington's first cultural access ballot initiative, securing $4.6 million annually, and throughout all the engagements, it's been centered in communities most impacted by inequity as partners in shaping strategy, not just audiences for it. She is, in my view, again, a very impactful leader, both locally and regionally. So glad that she is able to join us today. If she would come forward as I come down, I'm going to read this proclamation I'm going to read this proclamation so that it is well understood and received. Thank you so much. How you doing? So good to see you. Thank you for this work. Thank you so much for this work. City of University Place proclamation. I'm being directed. I don't want to confuse anybody. I'm being directed to be in a place where you can see me well and you can see Mrs. Blocker's tears. It's already all right. Thank you again for this amazing work. City of University Place proclamation. Whereas wellness is a holistic state of physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual well-being, and access to wellness resources plays a vital role in the overall health and prosperity of communities. And whereas health disparities persist, impacting Black residents at disproportionate rates in areas such as chronic disease, maternal health access, and preventative care. And whereas Black Wellness Week continues the legacy of Booker T. Washington's National Negro Health Week, which historically emphasized community-driven approaches to improving health outcomes for Black people. And whereas Black Wellness Week is not only about addressing disparities, but also about honoring the rich traditions of health and healing in Black communities, fostering resilience, and creating space where Black joy and well-being are centered. And whereas Black Wellness Week is not only about addressing disparities, but also about honoring rich traditions, it's about prioritizing wellness and health equity through culturally responsive education, prevention, and access to resources that promote long-term well-being. And whereas the 2026 observance of Black Wellness Week will take place from April 13th through the 17th, engaging local organizations, healthcare providers, and community members across Washington in education, outreach, and advocacy efforts. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place does hereby proclaim April 13th through the 17th, 2026 as Black Wellness Week in University Place, and encourage local organizations, community groups, and healthcare entities to collaborate on initiatives that promote health, wellness, and healing, utilizing existing community resources and networks, proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, on April 6, 2026, signed by Mayor Stan Fleming, attested to by Emmy Janisha, our city clerk. It is my pleasure to provide this to you and would delightfully ask you to share remarks.
Thank you so much to the City of University Place. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. I have a few remarks. This Black Wellness Week proclamation means so much, and it means so much to come back to this amazing city and receive this proclamation. And this proclamation really reflects a simple but powerful idea that every person in University Place deserves the opportunity to be well, and that often looks different for many of our communities. I think we all share the same goal, a healthy, a thriving community, but we don't always start from the same place, and we don't all face the same barriers. So Black Wellness Week is an opportunity for us to connect, have conversations together, to work and collaborate together and think about better health outcomes for many of us, especially our Black communities. And that's really what targeted universalism looks like. It looks like setting a universal goal, and in practice, it looks like setting a universal goal and then doing the specific work to make sure that no one is behind. And so I appreciate the City of University Place for its proclamation. It means so much, and it means so much to partner with you all in this work. I would also love to invite you all to the City of Tacoma for a Health and Wellness Resource Fair, and we do plan to have one in University Place in the upcoming years. But again, this is an opportunity. It's free, but it's for everyone to be able to have free health access. We'll be doing colon cancer screenings. We'll be having dental care opportunities there, as well as rental assistance, all sorts of stuff. But that will be taking place next week, Friday, at the People's Center in the City of Tacoma. But again, this is just one of the beginnings, right? We started this work and celebrated the first Black Wellness Week proclamation in University Place back in 2024. And it is such an honor to be here again to celebrate this with you all. So thank you again. I appreciate you. Our coalition appreciates you, and appreciate the leadership that you all show up for the city, the residents of University Place each and every day. Thank you again.
Thank you for your regional leadership, and I really appreciate you accepting this proclamation on our behalf. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Wonderful job.
At this time, may I have Princess Gabriela Lopez and her lovely mother come up for the Curtis High School Daffodil Princess recognition. May I also have Councilmember Grassi, who has a beautiful bouquet to give to you, as well as Councilmember Cunningham, who is a staunch supporter of girl empowerment and leadership, as with the rest of our council members on the dais, who will come up later on for a full council photograph with the princess. Thank you. I need to be an octopus. Let's bookend the beautiful princess. Councilmember Cunningham. There's Lillian Eklund, Claire Fleming. They both stood here, and they're both part of our city council or city staff. And you, for the past 30 years, guess you're the 30th princess that we've honored for, so it's quite a legacy in University Place that we honor the Daffodil Princess, because we love to yellow up our city. And daffodil, I believe, is the official city flower, if I'm not correct. And I always like to tease the city of Puyallup that we have more daffodils in the spring than they do. So I'm so excited that you're able to join us so we can honor the Daffodil Princess, and also especially honoring you and all of your extraordinary achievements as well. I need my glasses. This is a new addition in the past few months. I have to get used to it. Whereas this past fall, Gabriela Gabby Lopez distinguished herself among 3 other outstanding seniors at Curtis High School and was crowned Daffodil Princess, earning the honor of representing her school and the greater Pierce County community. And whereas Gabby has demonstrated exceptional academic ambition, and I can attest to that. She had a long string of them that she was telling me earlier this evening. I don't know how she manages all that in her day. And purpose, aspiring to attend a 4-year university on a pre-med track, continue to medical school, and ultimately pursue a career as an orthopedic surgeon. And whereas Gabby serves as a student leader of the highest caliber, holding the positions of President of the National Honor Society, President of the Girls and Women's in Sports at Curtis High School. I was at one of their presentations and also their breakout sessions. I thought that was amazing. So thank you all for sponsoring girls in sports. It's very important. While also competing as a varsity state-level swimmer and started varsity goalie for the girls' water polo team. And whereas Gabby devotes significant time to service, giving back to University Place community with her leadership roles, planning and supporting youth-centered and female athlete-focused annual events such as Your Voice Matters, which I was part of, and Viking experience and volunteering as a manager of the boys water polo and boys swim and dive teams. Good for you. Whereas outside of her school commitment, Gabby demonstrates an enduring dedication to developing young athletes by coaching the 10U water polo team with Puget Sound Polo, teaching swim lessons, and coaching both teen and youth weightlifting classes at University Place CrossFit. And whereas Gabby is equally committed to personal balance and well-being, quite the challenging schedule, cherishing time spent with family and friends, enjoying quiet moments, reading, sharing movies, and shows with her loved ones. And whereas as Daffodil Princess Gabrielle Lopez now takes on the esteemed role of ambassador for Curtis High School and Pierce County, joining her fellow princesses in completing countless volunteer hours, uplifting key community organizations, and upholding the longstanding mission and values of the Daffodil Festival. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place hereby proclaims that Gabrielle Lopez is deserving of recognition and honor for her leadership, service, academic excellence, athletic achievement, and outstanding representation of the Curtis High School and the University Place community, hereby proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, on April 6, 2026. Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, of course. Thank you.
All right. Here you go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, council members and Mayor Pro Tem, for this opportunity. She said so much about me, and all I can think of when I moved here in 8th grade, it wasn't much about me, but rather the community that I'd stepped into. As a military child, you don't stay in a community for long. I've been lucky. I've been here for almost 4 years. And something that has really helped me is this community as a whole, University Place and Pierce County. When I first came here, I joined the sport of water polo, which I've been able to thrive in since. But it started off as me as an 8th grader pretending to be in a role I didn't fit into quite, but having leaders such as Lily Eklund, who brought me up, and then just taking time with her and learning who I was. And then from there, I became more of a leader, and I grew into the role as Daffodil Princess. And I followed in Lily's footsteps for one. She was the princess 2 years ago. So thank you to my friend Lily. And then I would also say that the work University Place does is quite amazing, and they inspire so many young female athletes and women in general, and then along with our youth. So I think it's just great to be here, and I'm glad to be a small ambassador, something so large. Thank you.
And once again, thank you for representing University Place so eloquently. May the rest of the council members please come up, and let's take a photo op with our Daffodil Princess. So you could see we represent the city of University Place that is fully embracing you in your endeavor. How further? Okay. I'm going to put this behind.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming again. Of course. Thank you. She does it all.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Peggy's not here.
What's she at?
I don't see her in the audience, so you're just going to have to hold on.
The what? Next on our list of proclamations is the Arbor Day proclamation, and that will be presented by our council member, Edward Wood. And will Mr. Jack Eklund, our Public Works Director, please come up and receive the proclamation?
So, hi, Jack. You can sit here and talk about Lily if you like to. Yes, sure. No, actually, the recent presentation we just had on wellness, Black wellness specifically, one of many key things that induces or helps wellness in a community is actually trees. And there is often disparities in some cities where minority neighborhoods just don't have as many trees as others, and it affects the health and well-being of the people in that community. University Place is a Tree City, USA, and so every year we do a proclamation in support of Arbor Day, which I'll go ahead and do right now. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, provide oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas all citizens are encouraged to support efforts to protect our trees and to support our city's urban forestry program, and to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place does hereby recognize and support Saturday, April 18th, 2026, to be Arbor Day in the City of University Place, proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, on April 6th, 2026, signed Stan Fleming, Mayor.
Just thank you for, one thing I want to just stress is, City Council's commitment to preserving trees and planting trees. Really, we had the foresight to protect our environment early on, right? And as environmental conditions has changed all around the region, there are more and more requirements that have come in about doing tree canopies and preserving your streetscapes. And because of the work we've already done and the commitment from City Council, we're already ahead of the game on all that. We basically said, yeah, we checked that box in '95. We're continuing to keep it up. So I'm happy to have this, and I am really excited our continued work to continue to green up the city.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, he does. It'll save you some steps. And next on our list, last but not least, is our Park Appreciation Day proclamation, presented by Councilmember Alicia Cunningham to our Parks and Public Works Director, Mr. Jack Eklund.
Oh, look at you getting all these prizes today. Well, this one's especially special to me because it wasn't long ago I was a park commissioner under your leadership, and I just have to say that I know how hard you work for our green spaces and how much you listen to the council and bring back that information to the commissioners to make sound choices about what our parks and trails are going to look like. So I appreciate just knowing you under that leadership, and I learned so much from you. And I know that the commissioners that are still existing there are learning so much from you as well. And you just are very thoughtful about the choices that we get to make, and you advocate so well. So I appreciate that so much. Yes. So you get this proclamation again, whereas parks, playgrounds, nature trails, and open spaces make communities attractive and desirable places to live, work, play, and visit. And whereas parks are a place where people can reflect, re-energize, or socialize, a place where everyone is welcome and a place that builds community. And whereas parks, green spaces, and open spaces provide a welcome respite from our fast-paced, high-tech lifestyle while protecting and preserving our natural environment. And whereas numerous jurisdictions, cities, and organizations have joined together to create an event that encourages citizens to celebrate the value and enhanced quality of life that parks bring to our communities. And whereas citizens of all ages have pledged to volunteer their time to clean up and beautify parks and open spaces throughout the Pierce County. So therefore, the City of University Place and the Council, please do hereby recognize and support Saturday, April 18th, 2026 to be Parks Appreciation Day, University Place, proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington on April 6, 2026, signed by Mayor Stan Fleming. So everybody, what's that? Is it Adriana Hess this year?
It's at Colgate Park.
Oh, it's at Colgate again. Make sure you come out 9 a.m. to help everybody clean up our parks to maintain that beauty that you lead.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now it's time to move on to the public comments portion of our agenda. This is an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments to the City Council about any items not appearing on the agenda or on the consent agenda. For those joining online, the instructions on how to participate are shown on the screen. And at this time, I'm going to take public comments from those that are in attendance in the council chamber, and I have a Gordon McCreary. Please come up and state your name and address in 3 minutes for comments. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gordon McCreary. I live at 4109 Sunset Drive West. I'm excited to be here. I'm here, some background before my main topic I want to talk about is I recently started a coalition in the city called the University Place Shoreline Public Access Coalition, focused on improving and expanding public access to our shorelines in the city. And I'm working right now on just building out the coalition. If anybody hearing this is interested, you can Google our name and our website will come up. Our first proposal we are going after is focusing on public access on Day Island specifically. Last month, I attended the Parks Advisory Commission meeting and had an opportunity to present this proposal to them and got a lot of useful feedback. Focusing on the 6 existing right-of-ways on the island that already provide public access, spreading awareness of those and how we can improve those. And so that's an action item I took from that meeting. Over the summer, I'm hoping to spread awareness of that public access on Day Island and then come back at the end of the summer and maybe talk to the city again about, now that people are aware of it, how can we improve these spaces? I've also made flyers. I'll be trying to put these around town. There's one in the library already at the Community Information Board if you're looking for it. So why I'm here specifically tonight is because I've been made aware of a project going on Day Island, a sewer replacement project by the county. If you're not already aware, some of the sewer lines on Day Island are actually underwater and only accessible at low tide. And so the county is working to rework that sewer system. And I've been made aware after talking to the project manager and some of the University Place engineering staff that that's a unique opportunity to collaborate with the city to improve the streets on the island. And so I'm hoping, I guess one thing is that there's going to be a community meeting in spring coming up, and so we'll be hearing more about those options once that date is announced. And so I'm hoping to have a call to the action to the City Council to be aware of this project and keep public access in mind as a consideration when providing feedback on it. I think it's an essential opportunity to make sure the island is safe to walk, bike, and drive on, ensure that private and public property boundaries are being respected, and that basic amenities exist on the island for the public. Some things that I would like to see considered as part of this project is to lay the groundwork for things like accessible parking, clear signage to mark the public spaces, bike racks, garbage cans, and then maybe even more future thinking, making sure the roads are ready for public transit or emergency vehicles, drinking fountains, and maybe even a public restroom on the island for people who are spending an extended period of time. So I hope you will follow up on this, and thank you for your time and support.
All right, thank you. I believe I have a Vince Navari for the Daffodil Princess. Welcome. State your name and address, please.
My name is Vince Navar, and I live in Fircrest at 1205 Del Monte. I had the privilege recently to escort the Daffodil Princess in the luncheon, the main luncheon at the Elks Club. But anyway, the reason I am sharing a little bit more about her, my father served in World War II in the Korean War and was a 22-year veteran of the U.S. Army, and thank you, Ed Wood and Council Member Figueroa, for your service. But he always told me about West Point Academy and how highly esteemed the individuals that attended there, and spoke very highly of West Pointers. And getting to know Princess Gabby, I wanted to mention and give my wholehearted support for her. She's representing Curtis High School and University Place, and I want to recognize a story that's meaningful as it is inspiring. This young woman is not only representing her community with grace and dignity, but she has made a remarkable decision to attend the United States Military Academy at West Point. A commitment that speaks volumes about her character, her discipline, and her willingness to serve something greater than herself. What makes this moment even more special is the legacy she carries forward. West Point is not just a destination for her, it is part of her family's story. It is where her mother and father walked before her, and where they met and where they were shaped at that academy. That foundation clearly took root because it is evident in the strength and integrity and purpose we see in Princess Gabby today. To her parents, your example matters. Your values you've lived out have now been embraced by the next generation, and this is something worthy of recognition and respect. And to our Daffodil Princess, your decision is not an easy one. It's an honorable one. And you are stepping into a tradition of service and leadership and sacrifice, and our community stands behind you with great pride and gratitude. You represent the very best of us, and we look forward to all that you will accomplish. So I'm not sure if everybody knew that. This is newsworthy, good, warm-feeling information, and deserves each and every one of your support. So thank you very much.
Thank you for those appropriate comments. And you're just so amazing. The more stories I hear about you, my goodness. I'm glad you represent University Place and Curtis High School. And with that, City Clerk, is there anyone online for public comments?
No one with their hand raised.
All righty, thank you. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. May I call for a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as proposed.
Second.
Here, I have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing no opposed, consent agenda has been approved. Thank you, council members. And with that, one of our most exciting things of several past years is coming to fruition for a hopefully positive outcome, and we will have the consideration to consider restoring recreation to University Place, which I was not sure if I was going to see that in my tenure on the city council. I had the unfortunate opportunity, as did Councilmember Figueroa, when we had to balance our city budget and cut our recreation program. So with that, we're going to hear our staff report to outline the highlights of the proposal, and then we'll move on to public comments from there. Mr. Jack Eklund.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and I'd like to also ask Jacqueline Ruckles, Senior Communications Director, and Luke Donovan, the VP of Marketing of YMCA, to join me up here. Thank you. And as you mentioned, I'm Jack Eklund, Public Works Director. And tonight we are excited to bring to you for your consideration agreement between the city and the YMCA to provide recreation services in the city of University Place. In your council packet, you will find the agreement, a draft program, as well as the associated council bill. Under the agreement, the YMCA would operate youth sports leagues and clinics in the city of University Place, utilizing University Place park facilities as well as University Place school district facilities in accordance with our interlocal with the school district. These programs would be open to the public, but UP residents would receive priority registration, and UP residents as well as YMCA members would receive reduced registration fees. It's anticipated the first league would begin this fall with basketball, and but we are hoping that to see that we could hold some clinics as early as this summer. Now, I am very happy that Jacqueline and Luke can join me tonight because if council approves the agreement, they will be working with our communication team to lead the charge in getting the word out on this exciting program. They've already started working with Linda and Amanda and are anxious to get started developing the marketing and communication strategy, which we look forward to presenting to you at a future council meeting. One thing to note in the agreement itself, so the YMCA, they have reviewed and approved it. They did make one recommendation for clarification, and that is to change in section 3A, to change a date in a referenced example from 2028 to 2027. And we've reviewed that. We think that would make a good clarification change, and so we will make that adjustment. But with that, I recommend that you authorize the city manager to execute the agreement with the Pearl Street Family YMCA for sport recreation services substantially to the form attached. And we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any council questions? Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Eklund, as we all know, we had extreme public comment from a private soccer club with quite a few membership from our community. And so I know there was a meeting between the YMCA and the soccer club, and I understand there was 2 council members that attended. I'd like to kind of hear a summary of what occurred, what remaining issues that may be from this soccer club that we should know about that didn't get resolved. Thank you.
Yeah, so the benefit, those watching, I know council remembers it, but so the The concerns raised by the soccer club primarily involved, they were concerned about field space for usage, because they also utilize the school district facilities as well as the county facilities, which would not be used in this agreement. And they also were concerned with competition could potentially impacting their membership. And the UP Soccer Club, they do provide an excellent service in the community, and we're excited to have them in here. And my daughters both participate in the UP Soccer Club, and it really had a great time. What we've done, partnering with the Y, and we looked at what their concerns are, and we spoke with the school district, and the things we were able to do to address those concerns is the Y. They looked at the programming. They agreed that they can shift some of the seasons around a bit. Traditionally, you have the fall is your season for soccer, and although the UP Soccer Club does operate through multiple seasons, their primary focus is during the fall season. And the YMCA has agreed to shift soccer programming so it is in the spring. Now, we did feel strongly that there is still a demand and need for additional youth soccer at recreational level services in UP. But to have that shift in the spring that addresses the concerns of field space a bit for the soccer club, and also does address some of the competition issue. There's also, it's a different product that we're providing with, this is a recreation level program. And although the UP Soccer Club, I kind of view them, they are recreation as well, but they're kind of like a recreation level plus. They have, they're a very competitive program, and successful and exciting program to go watch, and play in. But there's room for both groups, and I think that in using the example where the Y already operates leagues at their Pearl Street facility, that's within the service area of the NORTAC Soccer Club, which is plays in the same leagues as UP Soccer Club, and they have a beneficial relationship where they generate excitement, and then they will actually refer folks to the NORTAC as their people are looking for something a little bit extra, which we envision this will be. It'll generate excitement for both groups. There are still concerns from the soccer club. This is new, it's different. We haven't had recreation now for 10 years or so. It's been a long time. And so, although, when we did have recreation, there was both UP, we had soccer and the UP Soccer Club coexisted, but obviously they have changed as needs, changed as well. So there is some concern, what it will impact, and so we've committed that we will continue the conversation with them. We will meet with them, and the Y also has been very receptive to, adjusting things if needed. But ultimately, it's about providing the most access to the most kids to get out there and play sports, and we really think this is the best solution for everybody. So more conversation. Our commitment is we'll continue to keep the dialogue open, but at least we've done what we can to best address their concerns.
If I may, Madam Chair, finish my.
I was going to ask you if you were done. Thank you.
I just need to follow up a little bit here. Thank you. And thank you for the continued communication as things become maybe some changes. I think it's important. I'm in favor of this. I think it's great for our community. I think it's more flavor and more activities as our city grows. It's important to keep our young people busy. I think that's important, though, as that those involved, whether the Y and the soccer club, the city, the school district, even for CRESS, who handles our youth through programs, that I would hope that these organizations would, and we would promote that or try to put it together, coordinated, but have it so that once a year you just meet and talk about what's going on in your programs and their programs and changes, so there's no surprises. I think that's the best way to meet the changes that need to be had before it gets to the council, and we're trying to plug the answers. I think the answers are within those organizations. If they just meet at least a minimum of 1 year, maybe even more, but at least once where they're just saying this is what's going on. And I would hope that that would be something that would happen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the City Council? Nope, seeing none,
He raised his hand.
Yeah, please.
you did? Oh,
I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem.
Member Boykin, I didn't see that.
I just had a thought based upon Ms. Eklund's report, which I think is excellent. I appreciate the ask that we had really in more detail about meetings that had occurred. I thought it was interesting that there was some consideration about looking at how we best manage an opportunity differently when we have been really challenged to bring a recreational program forward for the City of University Place. That has been exciting to experience, and Mayor Pro Tem alluded to her and Councilmember Figueroa of having had challenge in between. I can tell you that it's been a real challenge whether you've been on council or not, and I just thank you all for bringing the opportunity forward. More specifically about the situation with YMCA and looking at ways in which we can provide programming for an entire community. I really want to make sure I'm understanding that this would be a University Place sponsored program with UP leading the actual effort, at least in terms of marketing and how it's positioned in community. And the wonderful sentiment and mission that the YMCA already had. I think it's a wonderful alignment for really talking about long-term success in a number of different ways. Certainly we can always talk. What I don't want to do is miss the opportunity for the great access that's created by having a more expansive way to touch each excitement that can have from a child deciding that it's my time to invest in recreation to help myself grow and to help my community grow. And so I'm just really, really excited about that, and hope we don't lose sight that we're always about expansion. We're always about inclusivity. We think we've got a wonderful way to bring that together, and I would think that we're always going to position that for conversations, whether it's scheduled or not. We're a very open community, and we're encouraging that opportunity for so many. So thank you so much, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you.
No question.
No? All right. Now we'll move on to public comment. Is there any public comment on the online? City Clerk?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, I don't.
No comment.
Okay, no public comment. I'm going to close the public comment portion of this and move on to our council consideration. May I have a call for the motion to consider?
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with the Burrell Street Family YMCA for sports recreation services sustainable in the form attached. And so there you go.
All right.
Second.
All right, thank you. So appropriate, Councilmember Figueroa, that you have put this into consideration. Considering we were on the dais that had to cut recreation initially. So this is so exciting, and I have to contain myself here with the excitement of what is about to happen. We also would be remiss if we don't bring to light the past Mayor Grassi, who I believe was the sole vote that voted not to cut recreation. And unfortunately, the budget spoke to us otherwise. But I just want to give a shout out to him. And in his memory, because I got quite the phone call after we took that vote from him. He invited me to his restaurant to have pizza. Sometimes that's not a good thing with Italian hospitality. So anyway, here's to tribute of him, Councilmember Figueroa, and all the staff members. Unfortunately, we had to cut. Todd Smith is in the audience. He was part of the park staff. But he is a survivor. He's continued supporting University Place in many, many other ways, and we honor him as well. And I'd like to give a shout out to Jose Gillespie, the Regional Executive Director, and I'm sure I mispronounced his name. I apologize. To Jared Johnson, the Pearl Street Y Executive Director, who found this lone little file that had collected a lot of dust in regards to the discussion that Stephanie Dobson, the past Morgan Executive Director, and I had prior to COVID. And with that dusting off, I got an email. And I would also give a shout out to Charlie Davis, prime supporter of collaborative youth fitness and the mantra that all the YMCAs stand for. He is a true cheerleader of sports and youth development, President and Chief Executive Officer. And Jack Eklund and Todd Smith, who had to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Council was kind of impatient. We wanted to get this on the fast track, so you had to hold us back a little bit. And Steve Sugg, our city manager, to mitigate the council and the staff so that we can get this to fruition. And Matt Kaiser, we always have to have the legal guy, right? So, he had to work extra hard to get this all done with all the legalese and the nuances, vetting three bureaucracies, actually the University Place School District as well as the YMCA and the city. Shout out to Jeff Chamberlain, who made an amazing interlocal agreement with the city of University Place, and Susan Vick, the athletic director of University Place School District, that it was in full-hearted support of the partnership with the YMCA so that she can grow excitement for youth sports, and that will grow into her schools, and so she could support it. Her sports programs, because they've already had the love of sports already built into them because they had a city and YMCA-sponsored partnership. And also on behalf of the City Council that went through all of the many, many, many hours of discussion and vetting so that we could come to where we are today with the vision. Everyone who wants to play, regardless of barriers, financial skill level, will be able to access sports in UP, and existing services that exist today will not be impacted, but will collaborate with all entities, including the UP Soccer Club. And thank you to the UP Soccer Club for coming and giving their thoughts and also a greater understanding of what they do for our community, because I was unaware of the depth that they had created to ensure that the soccer was still alive and well until UP got something running. But we will not be in direct competition with them. We'll be in collaboration so that both entities as well as lacrosse will be sustainable throughout the long term. And this will include field use availability and hopefully, as the UP Soccer Club mentioned, improve the quality of fields because there'll be more play, more people with interest to keep the sports fields in a safe state for all sports to play. And so with that, is there any other council comments before we take the vote? Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So I'm just as excited. I remember when my daughter was 5 and 6 years old and we were playing soccer in the UP. It was part of UP sports, and I called it lemming ball because wherever the ball went, all the girls just followed in a group. That was the age. It was a lot of fun, and I was heartbroken when the programs were cut. In fact, when I ran for office 5 years ago, that was one of my top 3 things I was trying to achieve if I was elected, which was restore recreation to the city of University Place. And it's been a journey. But I would just like to thank a few people, or a few organizations. Just the Mayor Pro Tem did a great job of thanking a lot of individuals. I just really want to thank the Y for partnering with us on this. If you weren't here doing it, this would not be happening. So thank you so much. I'd like to thank the UP School District for the same thing, making their facilities available, also all in the interest of children. And I really want to thank the citizens of UP. When I was knocking on doors, that is one thing I heard every third door was, what about recreation? What about recreation? And if it wasn't for that consistent community support over the last several years saying this is something we want, I'm not sure this council or this city staff would have taken the time and effort to actually bring this back. And so I really would like to thank our citizens as well for their efforts, and I am so looking forward to this. That concludes my comments, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and I want to say thank you, sincere thank you for your comments, your generous comments, remembering my father. That's very kind and generous of you, and I too echo those sentiments, and it's very apropos and amazing that I get to be here this evening. If I may, 2 years ago during the Duck Parade, it was my first Duck Parade as I'm driving down as an elected, a dad sitting with his son, and he yells as loud as I can remember, "Bring back youth sports." And I yelled back, "It's at the top of my list." And because it was, and it has been, and it is because of that night when my dad came home with tears in his eyes because he was heartbroken that he felt like we had failed the youth of our community. And he wasn't the only heartbroken one. It was a hard decision for everyone. You all felt it. And I will never forget that was a moment that I saw one of the great leaders in my eyes cry because he couldn't deliver that moment. And so from that moment, when I decided to run for office, like Councilmember Wood, it was at the top of my list, and when I heard from residents and made it the priority. And so today is it's a special day. It took a lot of work to get here. I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey for inviting me on that first meeting to come and be with the Y. And as soon as we met with the YMCA, I said, right partner, right time. And I want to thank the school district. University Place School District has been so accommodating and working with us. And I will echo what I said in the meeting to Councilmember Figueroa's question and to Mr. Eklund's comments. I got to be in the meeting, our most recent one with the soccer club and the Y. And in that meeting, I said, I think this is just a unique situation. It's the right partners, it's the right time, and it's a unique organization that would come not for profit, not for themselves, that they would come because they want to give access to children. They come and they don't put their name at the top, they put our name at the top. And I don't know many organizations that would do that. And so I thank the UP Soccer Club for all of what they have done and what they will continue to do in this community and serve our children with excellence. And I am so excited for the YMCA to be a part of that collaborative effort. I think that you are just an excellent partner, and I think you're the right partner at the right time. And for our community, I feel so good about giving this as an option for youth recreation. And so, again, I echo gratitude to our staff for all of the behind-the-scenes work. And I'm so excited to be able to bring this forward, and I'm grateful. But again, we have that sweet spot, which has been such a gold standard for our city, right? We always want to do it just right, and we work and we work and we tweak and we tweak, and to get this golden opportunity. And so I am thrilled. Thank you for being here this evening. Thank you for what's going to be, I believe, a wonderful partnership. Thank you to my colleagues and your leadership for bringing this to this moment, and I am just thrilled for our community. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Right, thank you. Councilmember Cunningham?
Well, I just want to echo that I'm excited to be part of this opportunity. I know that my colleagues have worked on this prior to my joining, and I'm excited to be on the other side to usher in that vote in a few minutes. None of my children have benefited from recreation in this city because it was yanked away the minute my youngest were old enough to do anything. So I'm excited that my smallest get to experience that, and they won't know what living in University Place looks like without recreation. So I'm excited that at least the other half of my kiddos get to be part of that. And so I appreciate the opportunity. I hope that we keep our communication lines very open. I hope that we keep our experiences great. I hope that there's equity across the board all the time, and that we have checkpoints along the way to make sure that our partnership stays strong, stays thoughtful, and stays responsive to what our community and our youth are looking for and needing. I think that we have a template here that's smart and important, and a level of integrity that we want to uphold. So I hope that we all maintain that, and I'm excited to be part of this experience. I'm not going to take any credit because I wasn't at the beginning stages, although I've heard everything about it, and just being the most recent door knocker, Councilmember Wood, yes, that's what everyone is considering. So whoever is running again next probably won't hear that at the door. They'll just be excited, and we can say that, yes, we did it. So thank you so much for the experience, the opportunity, and we look forward to the partnership. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. It is not by accident that the City of University Place is the city of destination. The intentional work that goes from the thoughtfulness of the council as well as the expectation of how that information comes in. This was one of those really concoctions that said all the right things at the right time with the right organizations from the right people. And when you look at it that way, it again affirms city of destination. What I am not going to be lost about is saying one more thank you, because yes, this completes me. The expectation about recreation and the quality of life that we are looking at across the gamut, whether it's our seniors looking to have a wonderful quality of life and age in place, or it's our youth who have been on so many levels, the inspiration and the wind beneath our wings. We are excited about what this means. Great partnership, great opportunity, but just as importantly, is coming right in front to an audience of great people. So this is an exciting time, and if you can't stop grinning about what appears to be not premature in an approving vote, I can understand that. It really is an exciting time. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Last but not least, Councilmember Figueroa.
Very few times that I can sit here and smile. And a lot of people take me for being a very serious person, but I do smile, especially when there's greatness. And I really do, along with my colleagues here, think that the golden nugget here, I think that we hear so much about our city, our community being a place to work, live, and play. I think we can check off play. Not 100% because nothing is perfect. I think there's a lot to still learn and adjust, but we certainly, this is a huge stride in accomplishing that. One to be very proud of. Many families come here for many reasons. One of the key reasons is to have their children in our school district because of this programs, not only educational programs, but sports programs and other programs, music programs. This is just a major part in emphasizing the importance of children in our community and their ability to grow in the right direction, something to be done. And I think that this is going to really spread. I don't believe that there's a lot of families right now. Some know this is happening. Many not until they see later on with the advertising or marketing about the programs. They're going to say, whoa, hold on a second, what just happened here? But it's going to spread. And again, what I thought what UP was a destination point for many reasons, that's going to increase. just due to activities for children. That is the number one thing where families are always trying to, they gravitate to that environment. And I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but property values will go up because people want to be here. They want to live here. They want to work here. They want to have their kids to go to school and play. It just makes a city much stronger and a much more rounded place to live. Very proud to be part of that. But with that comes pain. The use of our fields, the use of our the staffing, everything. A lot of this goodness comes with a cost, and that's what our council is here for, and staff, to ensure we can continue to be fiscal responsible, to ensure that we have a budget that takes care of those necessities, but also for the recreation for our children. And I think that we have the right council and the right staff to do that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, any further comments? Seeing none, City Clerk, do the roll call.
Councilmember Figueroa,
C.
Councilmember Boykin,
Absolutely, yes.
Councilmember Cunningham,
Yes.
Councilmember Wood,
Aye.
Councilmember Grassi,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey.
Absolutely, positively, yes. And I'm sure Mayor Fleming is glowing in his, wherever he is at, because he would be an absolutely yes vote on this one as well. And so with that, welcome YMCA. Can we do the song YMCA?
No.
No, we're not going to do that.
No.
It's an old, tried and tired song, isn't it? But anyway, we look forward to our partnership and your marketing expertise, and reach out, as you know, to the POCs, and we will make it a very successful year, and hopefully in perpetuity the partnership will grow and be very fruitful, as Councilmember Figueroa alluded to, and as Councilmember Boykin commented, this completes University Place. So with that, I'll move on to our city manager report. Mr. Sugg.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, Public Works Director Jack Eckling called me last week and said he was successful in securing $800,000 of additional grant funds for 4 projects: 67th Avenue, 70th Avenue, 40th Street, and Cirque Drive. These are grant funds from PSRC, Puget Sound Regional Council, and those projects will be benefited from these additional grant funds, and it'll reduce the strain on city funds. So, thank you, Jack.
Very nice.
That concludes my report. Thanks.
Oh, all right. Thank you, City Manager. And with that, we're on to council comments. May Councilmember Boykin give his report.
My pleasure, Mayor Pro Tem. Let me just center the National League of Cities event that we had an opportunity to attend over the course of really March 14th through March 18th. The National League of Cities is an opportunity for electeds across the country to be able to gather for, in this case, the CCC. It's the Congressional City Conference. And the theme this year for the first quarter has been We the Cities, Local Governments. With this, it gave me an opportunity to specifically enjoy not just the engagement with the Small Cities Council, which is an appointment that I had previously, stepping into my second year in that regard, but also the Transportation infrastructure services. And both of those are dear to my heart. I am a business professional that cut my teeth in business development from a company by the name of United Parcel Service, where I did 25 years there. 23 of those years were in UPS management. But transportation, logistics, those things have always been centered to my professional impetus and incentive. So having a chance to serve in this capacity, in particular for transportation infrastructure services for federal advocacy, I saw as important. There was a plethora of information available throughout the most of the week, I should say. We got the opportunity to engage on Saturday, which started with an invitation focus group for me in small city council. We would position economic development, certainly transportation, infrastructure, and typical things that the city would be concerned about, with the expectation of trying to look at representation from different city sizes to push an experience that would be that much more impactful for local leadership, as well as a way to just create an experience that was more aggregate across the country. It seemed to align well with the intentional thought of we, the cities, local governments deliver. So we were getting a firsthand chance to see how that process unfolds, and it told us that elevating what our perspectives and priorities were as leaders inside of local municipal government worked well and would be integrated as we went forward with 2026. The next opportunity that we had, and I'll try not to give you all the detail, but I really want you to know how impactful it is when we get a chance to not just have the conversations with leadership across the country, but to be able to talk differently about the aspects of how we see government and the challenges as well as successes in our spaces. With that, the expectation was being also shared from our local staff. City manager had asked that we make it a point to take a look at some mixed-use economic development successful areas to just be able to have an additional perspective of how we might see how well the City of University Place is being built out, and be able to have some insight to pivots if there were some great things that we could bring from the host city for the conference. So we got an opportunity to do that by taking a look at Alexandria as well as Georgetown, looking at some different examples of infrastructure and their mixed integration for successful, again, business development. I got the chance to do that, I should say, with Mayor Pro Tem, so folks will understand who we are. The actual opened up the conference officially to everyone on Monday, on Sunday, after having the opportunity to really invest in, again, for me, the committee and council specifics around transportation. And so to make sure that there is a connection between what we get an opportunity to do and enjoy and learn inside of these conferences and make them appreciative as well as applicable to impact here locally. Those local governments that convened in that conference, 43% of them have federal aid road network and half of the U.S. bridges. Yet there's only about 16% that of all federal transportation funding that reaches locally owned municipalities when it comes to the transportation network. So that means that we have to be sure that we're not just present at those conferences when we have the opportunity to connect with our congressional delegation to move information forward about how we can change everything from funding to specific opportunities that come back and resonate here in our municipality. And I will absolutely tell you that we did that. But to give you one more connection that happens in terms of impact, there's a Basics Act, which is the name of a particular piece of legislation that stands for Bridges and Safety Infrastructure for Community Success, and it actually allows for infrastructure to be very differently managed such that local support can come into play when it comes to specifically bridges considerations as well as infrastructure. Why is that important? Because one of the things that we have been consistently talking about in terms of benefiting not just our city, but specifically residents on Day Island has been that Day Island Bridge. That's a $20 million impact to us being able to bring appropriate funds to address it. Without moving too far down that aspect, I just wanted to make sure that it was a connection between what we get a chance to do, what we get a chance to speak on, and then how the impact is anticipated to take care of the citizens and residents here at University Place. In this case, one of them would be Day Island. But that particular piece of legislation is critical to have people get behind, and that NLC, that National League of Cities elected audiences that has, again, 43% of the federal aid road network and half of U.S. bridges among them. That voice speaks volumes in terms of how it can translate and transform the expectations of what happens when you've got good local governance. And certainly that is my intention. Let me also center one more thing that I think is important. The opportunity to connect with our congressional delegation, and very, very powerfully, I want to shout out our local team for well preparing us for not just intensive dialogue, but the expectation that because of how they always connect with our senators and our U.S. representatives, there is an expectation that we're going to be provided, in my view, that much more deference to be able to articulate what we care about and to expect from that real support. They did not disappoint. The BRIC, which is temporarily back, that's a little bit technical, so let me be more specific. BRIC is the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Program. It's a federal funding through FEMA that helps cities like ours invest in projects before a disaster strikes. Projects like flood mitigation, infrastructure hardening, and emergency preparedness improvements are funded by BRIC. And again, it's temporarily back. It's one of the most significant sources of funding available to local communities for this kind of proactive work. Had it not been for, again, the thoughtfulness of this staff preparing us in a way we could not have raised those issues in an impactful fashion, but we were able to. Just a little bit more of the background, that program was shut down in April of 2025, putting a number of pending applications, including one from our city in limbo, without being reviewed. However, because of the conversation that stays connected to staff that can be then conveyed directly to our congressional delegation, we began having conversations, and those conversations translated right back here, and the responsiveness and the work that went forward, again, gave assurances in ways in which really makes these relationships exciting, and it really makes the impact of our presence that much more clear for me. In March of this year, as I alluded to, myself and Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey, we raised the issue directly with our federal representatives, Senator Patty Murray, Senator Cantwell, Congressional Woman Strickland, alongside concerns about the FEMA disaster recovery funding more broadly. I know now we're in a good place because upon our return, there was a confirmation to Washington State Department of Emergency Management that BRIC is resuming operations. And again, that is not coincidental. It's our representatives working together and our staff being so much impactful that by the time we're leaning in person, it makes all the difference in the world. So I want to publicly thank Congresswoman Strickland for her continued strong support of shepherding the city's capital funding request through federal budget. It is important. The Chambers Bay Roundabout project, which could not have been possible without federal funding, it is no small deal. And so we are just excited about the engagement, excited about what the conferences provide in terms of how our leadership translates to impacts. And for me, I'm excited about the learning experience as well as the opportunity to really impact federally through advocacy that ultimately can return large dividends for the City of University Place. It is a powerful conference. As you know, I could go on, but I think, Mayor Pro Tem, that's enough for now. It really was an exciting conference, had a great time, and just looking forward to being able to do more, as we know we've got partners in this work, both at the congressional level as well as locally throughout the country.
Thank you, Member. Councilmember Boykin, you certainly could go on, but there was a lot to glean, a lot to learn, and thank you for your summary report.
My pleasure.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This was a long week because I think we had 31 days, so it felt like we did a lot, but it was a long time ago. But we did, which you didn't mention because you had such great, glowing other things to talk about, but we did attend the Economic Development Board luncheon as a council. Most of us were there, and it was great to, my first time, of course, learn so much. And of course, from my colleague, Councilmember Boykin, schooled me on all the things that I needed to know walking in. And I don't see Kevin here, but Kevin was great at giving me the lowdown. So it was exciting to be there and part with my colleagues. So that was informative, and we got to get some behind the scenes on the World Cup that's coming in 60 days. So that was exciting. I also had some great community member meetings. Oscar and I obviously had a great time talking and learning and collaborating and partnering on some things, so that was exciting. I also got onboarded by the great staff on my new committees for the Rainier Communications Commission. Councilmember Figueroa, I think I'm ready to go. And the Alliance for Sustainable Climate Action, Councilmember Wood. I don't know if I'll love you guys later or hate you, I'm not sure. Ask me in 6 months, but thanks to the staff for schooling me on what to do, where to go, and I've attended one meeting so far. I voted on something for us. I believe it was favorable, but I'll let you know if it doesn't work out. So thank you so much. The Easter egg hunt that we had on the 28th, our first city Easter egg hunt, 2,500 people. 4,600 eggs, 302 Easter Bunny photos, and a lot of things that we were highly unprepared for, because I think that we thought we were going to under-promise, but we over-delivered significantly. So thanks so much to TAPCO Credit Union for being our presenting sponsor in that and providing all of those exciting things that Mayor Pro Tem couldn't find parking and had to walk from a neighborhood and lots of fun things. But we're excited. We're going to do some debriefing and plan ahead next year to be more prepared. But it was exciting to have something that the city loved at the park that was so favorable for our city with the inclusive playground. I think in addition made that such an exciting time. So it was fun. The weather cooperated, so that was exciting. So thanks to our community members for supporting us and coming out, and our sponsor TAPCO for providing all of the things. That was exciting. And that concludes my council comments.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, Councilmember Figueroa.
On the NLC, I'm actually working with a staff member to put together, assemble together the different workshops that I attended. I think I did about 7 of them in different areas of expertise. And as I was going through these, there's so much information that pertains, not all of it, but there's those golden nuggets that you find during the presentation. And so I decided that I gathered all of them, make sure that I captured them, but I want to put it in a way that it could be resourceful. that any one of us or anyone within staff can actually say, they can go to transportation or housing or AI or whatever the case may be that I'll put it under, and put all that information that was provided. That as I saw it, I said, wow, I think we can use this, or this is really good information. So I'm hoping to have that done in the next week or two. When it's done, we'll share it to all the council, and I'll do a little summary of that when that happens, and kind of go through it and how it can be accessible and used as kind of a library. And that's going to be, I think, not only for my future conferences, because I think about all the ones I did, but I never really have captured that way. And it's always nice to be able to do that and then share it when that's what we're supposed to do. And I thought at least when we get audited, if they want to know what the heck I did there, they just go to that. And maybe they'll just have a big smile and say, we did it. So hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to share that, and it'll be something that even staff will be able to utilize. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just brief comments. I was also at the Economic Development Board, and my takeaway from that was they were recognizing a lot of local and regional businesses for just achievements and work in the community. I just thought that was eye-opening in a good way, just, what organizations are doing out there, and I'd just love to see more of that here for our city as well. And then, other than that, happy Easter, everyone. Thank you. Concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I echo Councilmember Wood's sentiments. I hope everyone had a wonderful Easter and celebrated their holy season. I want to thank Councilmember Cunningham and TAPCO for spearheading our first citywide egg hunt. I'm excited for the future growth of that. So thank you for making that possible for our children. I, too, attended the Economic Development Board luncheon, and that's always a great informational time. So I think it's really an exciting time to see how that intersects with all of our small business owners that are kind of having this synergy as well, kind of that larger picture to micro picture here in our city. So to be able to filter that down and have that reference point is really helpful. So I was happy to be there. Had a great meeting with Judy Schmidtke from the city of Fircrest, which, if you know, she is she is just the Energizer Bunny that makes so much of their community events happen, and does it all with a smile and a great team of volunteers. And she's just a wealth of knowledge and has always been so generous with her time. And as a neighbor, was always great to give us her insight. And so I'm excited for future collaborations with her, possibly. But I'm just so grateful for our continued partnership with Fircrest. And thank you for her time. Home-based business event that I attended at Applebee's with Mayor Fleming and our Economic Development Department. And I want to thank those businesses. We have a majority of more home-based businesses in our city than we do brick and mortar. So I'm excited to see that event grow and have some further takeaways from that in the future. But I want to thank the businesses that didn't come out, and UP Rotary for helping sponsor that as well. The first of the monthly West Side Wake-Ups with the Chamber happened at New Hope Community Church. The next one is happening this month. So that, again, if you're a business owner or interested in business, that has moved now from quarterly to monthly with the Tacoma Pierce County Chamber West Side Wake Up. And it's a great resource if you do have a business on this side of town, of the county. And speaking of small businesses, I wouldn't be ending without my small business highlight, which for so many of us in University Place, our kiddos are on spring break. And so if you are like me, you want to keep your kids busy. But one of the great ways to do that is by visiting Sasquatch Bricks, Lego store in our 27th Street Business District. My son and I had a great time, several times, but most recently shopping in there for some Legos for him to be kept busy during spring break. And I want to thank the owners of that business. They keep it so engaging and exciting, and always have something new to come along, and then are so welcoming to kids to come in and see. So they have their Lego sets. They also have, you can buy by the pound Legos, but 27th Street Business District, they're set right behind. Visit Sasquatch Bricks. You will not be disappointed.
appointed. Thankful for all of our small businesses that cater to our kiddos, especially during spring break. So thank you so much. Thank you for all of you that are here in Chambers. As you know, I love seeing people here, and I know it's a commitment of time to be here in person. So thank you for being here. And with that, that's all I have, Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, thank you. Wow, that's quite the report. So thank you all for giving the detailed reports, especially with the National League of Cities. I attended as well, but I'm going to be a little briefer. I attended several of their training sessions, and I'm part of the Energy, Environment, and National Resources Committee that had a wonderful report of the State of the Union, the challenges with federal power and its preemptions, and also talked about the data centers, water usage, delays in disaster relief and emergency support, and a special highlight about the workforce that is needed for water technicians to support our water infrastructures in local municipalities. So in trying to encourage recruitments and training in that regards, because I guess we don't have enough interest in that particular employment opportunity. We also, at the NLC, talked about a dignity pledge with Councilmember Boykin and I'm not sure if Councilmember Figueroa.
Those workshops.
Okay. So we all signed the dignity pledge. So dignity and civility in all policies and actions, along with a lot of the other cities in the nation as well. We also talked about the 21st century road to housing and what that looks like and entails. I attended last week at Up for Arts, and they're talking about strategizing for next year. Their last concert is I believe it's the third Saturday in April in the atrium. And if they have a website you can pop onto and glean more information about that. So more exciting news for their 2027, performance agenda. They're going to expand to visual arts as well as doing a wonderful gala fundraiser and also an intimate fundraiser in October. I also would like to, Asuka Luden is just really getting a shout out this evening. Would you please stand up, Asuka? You came in and did public testimony and said that, our city was looking a bit trashy. So that caught all of our attention because, we like a clean city. In that partnership and the emails through Mr. Jack Eklund, our Parks and Public Works Director, and also his staff, Kevin, that came on board. And Kevin worked really hard, and he got 7 new trash receptacles in University Place. And because of how logistically accurate you were, we had centered them in certain specific areas. And there will be an article in the headlines depicting where exactly that is. I'm not going to mention it right now. So we will also follow up with those certain particular entities at some time in the future. So my recommendation is we had a public citizen concerned about the way our city was becoming. We did a very quick action to make sure that we cleaned up our act. So I would like to let all of our citizens and residents know to please use them. And a shout out to UP Refuge. They put that out at no cost, no additional cost. So I thought that was pretty nice of them. I attended also a Pierce County Regional Council meeting. They talked about a small cities roundtable, which it was interesting to hear about the small cities. You know, we're not really considered a small city, so it was mainly a listening session. There was also a Puget Sound Regional Council report out through the Economic Development Board that is concerned about the job losses since 2009. And so they're trying to develop a regional economic strategy, and the chair of that is Councilmember Dave Morrell. So more to come on that. Pierce County Regional Council is also doing a community profiles on their website. There's several cities that have already popped up, and so I suspect that we will be one of those cities in the future as well, once they glean all the data and connect with our staff to make that happen. Then I attended a Zoo Trek Authority meeting. They had the 2025 annual report, which is a video on their website, talking about how attendance went down in July and August, and a little bit tanked in the sales, and so they had to do some budgetary adjustments about 3 quarters into their season, and now their year-to-date revenues are up, and they're looking promising. They're adding new additional programs to encourage more attendances at both the zoo and the trek. And there's other things I can report out on, like the Thomas Dambo trolls are coming to trek and coming to the zoo. If you don't know what they are, it is a Danish artist, and he creates 30-foot trolls, and he places them in different areas. These trolls are not going to be that tall, but there are going to be 12 of them. And they're going to be placed in hidden parts of the zoo, hidden parts of trek, and people will get to go. And they're going to be little mischievous trolls. So that will be happening in mid-October, and they'll stay out there for 3 months. In the fall, typically the attendance at the zoo and trek sort of fall below expectations, so they're hoping that this will help increase attendance and curiosity to see the mischievous trolls. And lastly, I would like to talk about the cougar cubs, Sullivan and Sienna. Sullivan came from Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was in pretty sad shape. He was basically dying when the zoo finally got him transitioned over to trek. Tens of thousands of dollars were donated to save Sullivan's life. Now he went from 75 pounds to now over 150 pounds. So he's a pretty big boy now, and he's active and engaged. And he had broken ribs, lung puncturations, inflammation, infections, a limp injury on the paw. They had to do physical therapy so he could learn how to reuse his paw, as well as acupuncture and electrical treatment. All of this time was donated by professionals in their fields. He's in such good health that they decided that he needed a partner, so they have Sienna. Sienna has arrived from, I believe it was North Carolina, and so they're going to be, and they like each other, so hopefully they'll be partners for life at the trek, and hopefully you'll be able to go and see them frolicking on their mattresses that are made out of tires that they love, and other things that cougars do at trek. And with that, I'm going to conclude my report, and this concludes our regular council session, and I'm going to bring it into study session at this time. The first topic on the study session is our council travel policy, and may I ask our city attorney, Matt Kaiser, to do his presentation on the council policy, travel policy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, Matt Case, your city attorney. We're here for study session number 3. There should be a joke in there somewhere about travel policies. I'm going to actually, I prepared a quick slide deck. I'm actually going to start at the end, and then I'll bookend at least my initial comments with this slide. Just to give council a brief recap of where we've been, where we're going, and at least some of the discussion that council has had so far. As council may recall, our most recent travel policy, this body adopted back in 2018. Since then, it's mostly held up. However, it is in need of change. Part of those changes relate to the fact that some of the numbers identified in the 2018 travel policy are outdated, and council's travel has expanded since then significantly. So when we initially approached this for council early in the study sessions, we identified, and this has been sort of the guiding principle or guiding framework for our discussion on looking at two different approaches, which we have creatively labeled Approach A and Approach B, because we can't come up with more creative names around here than A or B. I'll start with Approach B first because it's the easier to enunciate, which is what we did is we just took the 2028 travel budget at $28,000 and change, divided it by 7, and we rounded down, which proposes a set amount for each council member for all council travel and the amount of $18,000. And as we've identified in prior study sessions, if council wants to change that number, it's certainly free to change that number. However, there's certainly going to be a need for a budgetary adjustment or budgetary impact with further council action on that one. And part of the impetus has kind of teased out in the course of some of the study sessions behind one of the benefits to that approach was that it recognizes here's a pot of money to cover all council travel, whether it's for this conference, that conference, or specifically related to the jobs or duties or for special assignments. The first approach that we had discussed too, and I saved it for second in terms of my initial comments here, is because it's a little bit more wordy, because I'm a lawyer and I can come up with words. And we did tweak this a little bit following some of the comments, following council's discussion at its most recent study session. And the idea that council had identified is, look, if we're assigned to something, whether it's part of our overall job duties or we're on a committee or something, we should be able to travel to that. And then recognize that there may be things of special interest that don't fall squarely within those council-type assigned duties. So coming up with a mechanism for that, and is there a way we can future-proof that as well? So part of the change that you'll see in the packet recognizes that, look, if there's a conference or other event that council said, hey, look, this is something that we want folks to go to, we think it's important, you go to that. Also, if it's related to a specific committee assignment that council has embraced, we'll fund that as well. And so when we drafted that language originally, the sort of things that fell into that second bucket that we were kind of channeling, and some of them have already come out this evening and in the course of other discussions. Members of this body are on committees, say, through National League of Cities. You know, if you're on one of those subcommittees, that kind of falls into that second bucket. If you're doing duties as our appointee to the Rainier Communications Commission, and there's a communications conference, that makes sense. You know, we'll put that in that bucket. We've had members of this body in the past sit on Sound Transit, Pierce Transit. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, those are related and assigned. Maybe not everybody goes to those sort of conferences, but those were the sort of things that we were channeling. You know, Mayor Pro Tem mentioned a bit ago in her council comments with the Zoo Trek Authority. If there's a Zoo Trek Authority conference to look at bears, you know, that might be related, and if that's something that council's identified, then we go there. So I want to just kind of bookend the beginning with that. When I started following the last study session, as I was kind of digesting council's comments, one of the things I thought it might be helpful to orient council in terms of how big of a breadbox, how big of a problem is this that we truly need to look at from a budget perspective. So I asked our finance department, get me some numbers, and what do those numbers actually look like? Because one of the things that we repeatedly have said, look, your travel budget's $128,000. What goes into that and on current projections? And what we did was we looked at those conferences which council in the course of the prior discussions had flagged as saying, these are conferences that we think are generally important. that we should be represented at. And so what we did is we got the numbers, at least the projected numbers. The numbers that you see there up above, we took the individual numbers, they're generally rounded, multiplied it out by 7. And you'll note that that number comes out to a little over $139,000, which is more than the 128. Which is fine, as long as council acknowledges that there may be a need for a budget adjustment. There are 2 components in there that are probably just worth asterisking that may be worthy of council discussion. And related to 2 of the conferences. The 2 conferences in question being the Washington to Washington and the NATOA. Those figures that you see there reflect set-asides for all 7 council members to attend. Part of the discussion point for council is that something that you think should be set aside for all 7 to attend? Or, as part of the comments that I had alluded to earlier, is that something that you think that maybe representatives of, at least in the case of NATOA, the RCC rep is probably the person to go with an appropriate set aside, and if any other member of the body wants to go, that comes out of an individual pocket. So I'll just flag that. Same thing with Washington to Washington. Because one of the things we did was we looked at what did you spend in 2025 to wrap our head around how big of a bread box type problem do we actually have. In 2025, we had a budget there of also $228,500. Your expenses did not come close to that. So we took those same conferences and we got how much did we spend on each of the conferences? And the numbers are reported there. Then what we did was we looked at how many individual members of the council attended each conference. And that number is reflected on the far right in parentheses. So in the case of AWC Action Days, for example, 4 members attended. In the case of the Washington to Washington conference, where you see the only 1 member attended. Same thing with NATOA. We also identified where you see the line there on individual expenditures at that 1,180 figure. How much did members were billed against the council travel budget that were not associated with those conferences? That is to say, were associated with other types of conferences or other council travel activity. Without going into granular detail, what I can tell council is that in looking at the year-end numbers, it appears that only 2 members of the council billed separately for travel. And the sort of conferences and activities that we're looking at there are separately for things like MRSC training, a municipal budgeting workshop, the 16th CAB, and a JBLM ceremony. So there wasn't a lot of individual set-aside for travel, but it was certainly there. Which, when we're talking some of the numbers in the travel budget and what it takes to travel, that's a pretty big number and pretty big number that we've set aside. The reality, at least based on 2025 numbers, is different. Obviously, council has shown that a desire for conferences. A lot of your comments, even tonight, during council comments, have touched on a lot of the conference-related travel. But this is, while there's a policy component here, there's certainly a budget issue, or not an issue. That makes it sound bad. I'm not trying to make it sound bad. There's a budget consideration that needs to be balanced in there. So I'll come back to where I started and where the discussion has been. How does council wish to address this? You do have the 2 approaches. There is take the budget, divide it by 7, and recognize that each member of the body can travel up to that amount. The first approach, which is recognize that there are certain events that council has identified as important, and then recognize that the need for a set-aside. The one thing I will flag, at least based on from an administration of the policy, if council wanted to take the first approach, when you look at least what's been kind of set aside for each of these conferences and the like, and I'll just take the AWC Action Days because it's an easy enough number for me to do the math at $2,100. So if I divide that by 7, there's $300 for each member that we've identified. The thought is we need to know that number at the beginning of the year so we can say to each member of the council, or that council knows, hey, this is how much I would have for other conferences. So if somebody does not attend, to use the example of the AWC Action Days, that $300 that would be component for you would be use or lose. If you don't use it, it's just gone. It doesn't get rolled over, because otherwise then we're trying to chase what the math looks like at the end of the year, and it gets, I think the policy phrase is goofy. So with that, I know I've probably blathered for a little bit. I will cease my blathering for the time being, turn it back to council. I'm happy to field questions on this. But at the end of the day, certainly from a staff perspective, it's direction. Where does council want to go next with this? Whether council wants a fourth study session, or whether council says, let's set one of these for potential action on an upcoming agenda. So with that, I'll turn it back over to council.
Okay. Council, comments, direction, questions? Councilmember Figueroa?
I have others, but it's just to start up with, this is somewhat kind of a new process, and that's fine. It's just like I've said before, anything we do here, we can try, and after a year we can say, hey, you know, we need to adjust this and move it, you know, and do something different. I don't think we're stuck with this, and we can always, either program I think would work. It's just a matter of, you know, if you want to be stuck on one, or just give somebody, you know, not give, but a lot, $18,000, and they decide how they want to move it around. But I think either way, it amounts to providing it, and the gist here is to provide enough funds for all council members to attend what they thought they would value for their community. And that was, you know, I think I'm taking the words out of Mayor Fleming, and that is, you know, what is it that you would like to of interest that you can relate back to the community. And I think at the end of the day, as we go along, we'll figure it out if this works or doesn't work. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Councilmember Wood?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just of these two options, I'm leaning towards option A right now, and the basic reasoning is because it's more self-sustaining. We don't need to revisit the dollar value every single year as far as a separate piece of legislation, because it'll be addressed every year in the budgetary process. And so if we just say we've set aside $128,500, and for these set of generally recognized and approved conferences with the extra going wherever else, I think that's probably the simplest way to handle it. But I will say that I am not going to die on that hill. The other one works as well. So like the Councilmember Figueroa was saying, it's we're welcome to adjust as we go forward. But if I had to lean one way right now, it'd be option A.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Boykin?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I am leaning toward option A, not just because of the comprehensive clarity about what it is that we're aiming to do, which is position City Council be extremely responsive and thoughtful and intentional when it comes to engaging in the educational as well as the impact as electeds to bring the City of University Place a great return on its investment in our individual and collective leadership. I also think it's a smart idea because Councilmember Wood is right. We don't want to continue having to be challenged with the budget impact on the front end, because what really is happening is we're challenging staff in ways that are unnecessary. They have to figure out on the front end not just what one individual may be anticipating, but all seven, and they have to do that each and every time to just reset. And that to me seems to be no real value add when the whole goal is been depicted in the explanation in the option A. And then lastly, because it would be a scenario based upon the historical data, and I think let's not lose sight that the consideration is also data driven. The likelihood that there's going to be the council in its fullest going to every opportunity is been demonstrated as unlikely. A significant amount of funding would not be used, but as it's appropriated, it makes the whole process and the whole engagement, in my view, easier and smarter with option A. So I just don't see it making sense to do it otherwise, because the upside is if we do happen to have a full council, we didn't have 7 up there again to do any of the opportunities. But if we had, here's the good news. We would be at 128,000 that would be full use, and then we'd be looking at an adjustment of about 11,000 if that was the case. Well, I think that also would be a pretty amazing return on the investment of all 7 council members leaning into every opportunity to do all they could to bring back additional value to the city of University Place. Because I will just reiterate, becoming the city of destination is not an accident. It's a very intentional effort, and it comes from a heart to serve as well as a real vibrancy amongst the leadership to do well and to do right and to see what we can do in order to ensure that the residents and citizens, in my view, benefit well from that.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Grassi?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I concur with Councilmember Wood and Councilmember Boykin's comments, especially considering the data-driven approach for the examples. I would be leaning towards A as well. I see the value in it. And I also, as Councilmember Boykin alluded to, the data shows that the way that this council has been governing fiscally responsibly day to day is also how they've approached travel historically. So I think there's value there, but I'm leaning towards A as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Figueroa?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to clarify, because I know that A, and to me, like I said, it doesn't think either way, but A, I believe the intent or proposal from staff is that we would increase in the supplemental budget, this next coming budget, that it would be increased to 139,300. It was 128,500, but if we did what they're outlining, that we would have to, in the future, due to this action that we would do, to up that budget, our budget, to 139.3. Am I correct to hear that?
For 2026, I want to talk to finance before I lock in sort of has a final answer. We may actually have to overshoot that just to make sure that there's some funds in there, because you're making a mid-year shift in policy. And then I would think in theory, and we can confirm this if council wants to take action on the A approach, in 27 probably jump it back down to a number just to make sure that there is money there. Because when you're looking at the funds, barring other council action, we're working on the assumption that all 7 of you would attend certain conferences. So we're trying to make sure that the money is there, even though maybe in reality not all 7 of you are attending particular conferences. So like I said, we might have to overshoot that figure by way of a budget adjustment, but I need to talk to finance just to figure out what that number would be and provide a little bit of padding. So if one of you or each of you say, I want to attend a particular conference that's not on that list, there's still money there to do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Cunningham.
Yep, I just going to agree with my colleagues. Obviously, I haven't traveled as of yet, but I think from an economic perspective, I think that A gives us the flexibility and not necessarily a pigeonholed perspective, so that we are able to kind of be fluctuating against the economic, everything's going to increase year over year. So I think just giving us that fluidity to be able to sort of maneuver thoughtfully. And again, yes, like everyone else has said, we're not going to all go somewhere. And should we all go somewhere, we would still have the monies. But I think that we will, the 18,000 is not going to sustain anyways, and we're going to continue to have this conversation. So I think A is just the more fluctuating, fluid perspective, just from an economic perspective. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Well, my comment is for the approach A. My question is, we use it or lose it. That's so it goes into a pot that is divided by 7.
The balance would be, so let's just say you were taking, if we can throw the PowerPoint back up. And I turned the clicky off. No, I went one too far. All right, so let's say, I'm going to make up numbers here. let's say you took up on the idea and you overshot, I'm going to make up numbers here, to 146,300. Let's just say that was your real travel budget. I added 7,000 to the current budget. So the idea is that there's an extra 1,000 that everyone says, I have $1,000 on top of this. And you decided, a member of the body decided for whatever reason they chose not to attend. I'll roll the AWC Action Days example. So that's $300 per. That you don't add that 300 to your 1,000 pot. That 300 is just gone.
Okay. So, so the divisible by 7 at the balance.
At the beginning of the year.
At the beginning of the year. So if I just want to be clear. So we know that each and every council member is not going to go to each and every one of these events, and it's going to be going down into a balance of unused travel fund. That's not going to be divisible by 7. It's going to be a pot there in case a council member has an additional request to travel.
Then you come in front of the rest of you and say, I'd like to go to this. I don't have enough money to go to whatever the conference might be. Can I get the money for that? Let's say, that would be the process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we'll need to talk about that process if we go with option A.
Yeah, and I believe I'd bake that into the draft legislation, but that's a conversation amongst, if a member runs out of money and they want to go to that whatever conference that there's not enough funds for.
Yeah, I wasn't clear. Is there going to be a form or...
I think
so
we can come up with a form. I would not want to slow down development of a policy or have a fourth study session over a form.
I'm not talking about designing the form tonight.
I think we can get a form. I think we can put something together.
We'll have further discussion with council as a whole on what will that look like.
I suspect without pulling it up, your current request for council action form may be enough to get there, but don't hold me to that final answer.
Yes, that's what I would be leaning. That's what I'm leaning in my brain anyway, that would be that form. Okay, so it sounds like there is I think there's consensus for approach A. Would the council be inclined to bring this to consideration at our next meeting? Councilmember Figueroa.
Just a quick clarification. Would the 18,000 per member versus 8, meaning the B, would that eliminate of having, so the council member uses that 18,000 for whatever, and is done, right? But
if you're done with
it could be for anything that he or she deems necessary. So it would eliminate and that council member can cut that budget any way they want for travel expenses. It seems like that option would actually eliminate this whole leftover money and then going back and asking for it.
The only time in which you'd probably have, under the B option, that you'd have to go and ask for money is if you go through
18.
You go through the 18 and you say, I need more money.
So that being said, council, I'm for less process of having a council member having to come back and say, okay, submit a form and a bunch of discussion. It's the same amount of money. Why not just do B and say, here's your 18,000, here's the conferences we would mostly go, that's what's going to happen anyway, unless some surprise comes up, and then they can decide how they want to use the 18,000. I think, that would be a lot easier than trying to come up with leftover money and how that's going to be used. Something to think about.
Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just my counter argument that would be is just that if we put a dollar value in the resolution, then we're revisiting this probably every single year in addition to our budgetary process. And so I would rather just handle the total amount in our budgetary process. And maybe in option A we could consider tweaking how that extra money does or doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I would rather just do this once a year during the budget, not twice.
Well, just real quick, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, you may.
And it's the same subject. Is So I'm kind of confused. Why wouldn't the 18,000 be a staple, just as the 128.5 or 139? Why wouldn't it be the same? It's the same. It would just be the same amount every time. Why would that have to be revisited?
Yeah.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. The concern would be is just that expenses don't stay stagnant year to year. We've seen years of like 10% inflation very recently, 3% inflation, 5% inflation.
Okay, I get it. Thank you. Thank you.
That's my concern.
Okay.
And on that note, may I interject because of the process, we don't want to make it as arduous or hard, especially if a council member is traveling on behalf of the city. So we lose it, that's fine. It goes into this balance. If it is a council-related travel, for example, my trip to Albuquerque just had come up in the past several months. So what if I've expended my travel? I can go into this bucket and just let council know my intentions, and maybe informally with a.
I don't think if you're out of money and you want to go to Albuquerque and it doesn't fit into those conferences or other assigned duties, it's not letting you know the intentions. It's requesting, I'm out of money, I'd like to go to Albuquerque.
But so let me rephrase.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to all those denoted things. So some of the things I've lost my travel money. It goes into this pot.
Yeah.
So because it's in the pot of unused and past travel that's unallotted for, because the council members have lost the money since they've chose not to travel. Could it be at the behalf of that council member to use that without going through the extensive process, but to just ensure that it's aligned with the council policy and inform the council during their council comments, or do we?
I'm going to give you a
form.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a yes. I'm going to give you both a yes and a no.
Unallocated instead of dividing it in 7.
Yeah.
Because we have other council members that travel more than others for various important reasons for our city.
I'm going to give you both.
We'll never use the whole pot of money, right? We've never had in the past years, so to speak.
I'm going to give you both a yes and a no answer to your question. Okay. The yes answer to your question is, if that's the process that council wants to do, we can write legislation that get you there. Whether you want to do that or not is a discussion amongst you. I can tell you that there is a challenge on the back end in administering what you're suggesting, because trying to figure out what the individual sums would be as the year rolls on gets challenging, because then someone's going to say, I'll pick on you just because you used the example.
Sure.
No disrespect's intended.
I'm game.
Well, McCluskey used this for an Albuquerque travel event. I want to go ahead and use this, not go to AWC or insert conference here for this thing. How does that would otherwise have been I don't want to say communal, but I'm going to say communal money. And collectively, as part of your discussion, are you okay with it? I can tell you it's going to be a challenge on the back end to administer it, but are you okay with that approach? What we tried to do with these approaches is find something that's objective, reasonably administered, and hopefully is future-proofed. But at the end of the day, it is council's travel policy. So we can make something work, but what are you okay with?
Okay, Councilmember Wood.
So just a thought, and if people are worried about how complex this can get, or coming back to council if you happen to want to go to Albuquerque or wherever, if you just use a legislative request form, put it in, and it gets automatically added to consent agenda. And then if any council member wishes to discuss it, they can always pull it off of consent like we do right now anyway for everything else on consent. Then I think that takes the pain out of the process. They just have to fill out a form saying, I want to go here, this is why. Everybody gets a chance to read it in their council packet.
Good idea.
And then if anybody objects or wants to know more about it, they can just pull it out of consent.
Okay.
You are when you are.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Okay, I think Councilmember Wood had a great idea. And it sounds like we're leaning still towards option A. So we can bring that for a consideration at the next council meeting.
At the risk of prolonging the discussion, you want it on consent?
Council members?
Consent is fine.
Yes.
I hear consent.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for all the great discussion points. Nothing is ever easy and simple. We come to the dais and we think things are going to be simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, but there's always some nuances to it so that we can make it as perfect as we can. And so we'll move on to our next study session item, request for a council action for a study to discuss Quack It Up. And I'm going to ask Councilmember Grassi to fill us in on this. Well, this is actually her wonderful idea that she, hooked me into, and also hooked me into her vision and passion and wonderful ideas for how to drive our economic development and yellow it up in our city.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Well, at the risk of jinxing it, I do hope this is easy peasy lemon squeezy as far as tonight's discussion, but this is a request for us to study and look at the idea of having an event that we are calling right now Quack It Up. As I've been meeting with our business owners and leaders, I really have sensed two things. A lot of synergy between our business community owners that want something fresh, they want more, and the frustration that they're not quite represented the way they'd like to be at our signature events that we already have, Duck Days, Movie in the Park, Oktoberfest. And so what could we do to have something that is specifically geared towards our small business community in our city, knowing that in Washington State, we are leading for the worst state to open a small business in. Most small businesses fail in Washington State. And so it has been a challenge of mine to have University Place change that statistic and be a breeding ground, a thriving community for our small business community. And so as we go into the summer, we are known for Duck Days. We're known for the start of our season. Our staff works so hard at putting on a great event at the first Saturday of June. What I am proposing, along with Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey, is adding an event to the start of that season at the end of National Small Business Week, which is historically the first week in May every year, and that we would really encourage our community, our businesses, to yellow up our city as we get ready and gear up for our Duck Days. It would start with a proclamation declaring Small Business Week awareness in University Place the first week of May, and culminate with a signature event Friday in our town center market square here. So the idea is to call it Quack It Up for various reasons. One, of course, the nod to Duck Days, but also we want people to be talking and quacking up our small business community, and we want to give them a venue to do that. So right now it's called Quack It Up. This could be various ways for businesses to really have a foot in the door. It would be visioning, again, this is a year from now, so there's a lot of discussion to be had and great ideas, I'm sure, that will percolate from this original discussion, but to fill our market square with brick and mortar and home-based businesses that are right here in University Place, that there would be a nominal fee for them to participate in exchange for us to promote their business, come out, have a wonderful event that would be specifically for University Place businesses. We'd encourage businesses all week to have yellow specials, to be adorned in their windows by maybe a yellow duck sticker or something that says that they are participating in Quack It Up, and make our city yellow. As you see, our beautiful daffodils that come up every year around springtime, we are known for bringing color and creativity and life to our city as spring starts. So this would be a part of that as well. This would be really a big opportunity for our events team and our economic development team to really work in tandem together. There's been so much disconnect, as I found in conversations. Businesses think they know everything that's going on, or the city staff knows everything that they're going on, but there hasn't been a lot of synergy. I feel like we are in a point where there's a lot of silos happening, and an event like this that would naturally bring those two departments together, naturally engage our business community, could really be a benefit to our citizens, to our business owners, and help our community quack up our own businesses here in University Place. So that is the broad strokes. Again, this tonight is a request to study and discuss it further, so that hopefully May 7th, 2027 would be our first Quack It Up event. Does that about cover it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Council comments, questions? Councilmember Boykin?
I just think it's a fabulous idea, and not just in terms of how it's been positioned, that there is perhaps a miss that's going on right in front of us, a disconnect between the home-based businesses in particular, and good, bad, and different opportunity for us to ensure that what the city believes it is witnessing, as opposed to being sure of what it's witnessing, having those two entities come together, as Council Member Grassi has just articulated, and then doing it in a way that gives so many other people a chance to fall into a really love fest, again, around the city, around on the front end of a event that is adorned, and then being able to visualize that. So there's room not just for everybody, again, when it comes to an expansive way to support, but it's also going to be demonstrated visually. You'll get the yellow, I guess, if I'm seeing it, and all of a sudden it means something different. It is being impactful across our city, and it's all in preparation for a really wonderful parade and front-end impact that the city already loves. So I just think it's fantastic on so many levels. We talk about the different ways in which we can connect people and connect things. It seems to me that there's been a conundrum around the possibility of volunteer entry and exit ramps. This seems to be a program that could be really impactful for volunteer entry in different ways, a nominal fee. So you do have businesses be able to call out and identify inside the city in ways in which that home-based business number likely grows. At the same time, you got a situation where there is a space and place that's now just for them, that happens each and every year. So to me, seems to be a phenomenal idea that is going to be able, just because we're holding space, grow in ways in which it's going to be fun and impactful for the city. And so I'm just excited about it. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Figueroa?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think also that anything that helps lively up and sparkle our city, especially for our businesses, always a good thing. My only request is, because this is, the start of an idea, is I always think about budget. And I know that this is going to be work on the administration. Obviously, this is not going to be led by council members. So I'd like to hear in the next study session, I don't see how we can do this in one session and say, vote on this, but certainly a month long, like you said, a month long, like the years kind of tee up the whole year of excitement. I think that I'd like to hear back and from the administration and say, okay, we can do this, and this is how we see it, how we can see it being implemented. This is the cost. And this is the staff, and we have the cost. There's money there if you approve it. But certainly we're missing that step, and I think that's the next step in order to really understand, from their perspective, how doable this is. Maybe they can be creative, like the fees, but also volunteers or sponsorships. But again, I think the next step is a study session that includes a thorough vetting of the staff's perspective of this. And as far as this year, I think that's pushing it. I mean, just be honest. I know you.
No, it's next year.
Next year. Excuse me. Thank you. I misheard it.
And just one correction also. It's not a month long, a week. a week, National Small Business Week, and then it would culminate at the end. So yes, and it is a request to come back for study for all of those details and for a year from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's my comments.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Cunningham?
I just think it's a great idea. I think it sounds fun. I think that we should get ahead of it. And, based on the timeline that we have, we should be thoughtful about, making sure that, we're prepared for that. I do wonder, would we be the ones that would supply the yellow decor? Or
I think that's all up for study.
Yeah, I think that's a great
discussion.
Yeah. So I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. And I think, so just to clarify, so it wouldn't be this spring. It would just be the fall.
2027.
Right.
Awesome. That's all I have.
Right. Okay, Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll just start with saying first, I think this is a great idea. I wish I'd come up with it myself, but I didn't. But I can jump on a bandwagon with the best of them, so I will go ahead and do that. And when you were talking, I was actually thinking of it'd be really cool, maybe a business scavenger hunt kind of event. I think something like that would be fun. But to Councilmember Figueroa's point, if I could propose an amendment to this request for council action that instead of establishing a month-long sizzle, I'd just like to say study a week-long sizzle, so that what we're actually voting on here is instead of establishing, we're voting on a study before we proceed. Because I think he raises some points, and with who provides what would it cost, and I think that was the original intent.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that the legislation we vote on reflects what the intent was.
Yeah.
So I'd like to propose an amendment that we change the request from establish a month-long sizzle to study a week-long sizzle towards duck days. The rest of it stays the same.
Okay.
And
that was probably my error. I'm sorry, Councilmember Grassi. I was just excited. Let's expand the whole cool yellow theme.
Yellow Brick Road.
There you go. Wizard of Oz.
Well, and to your point, if I may, Madam Chair, I mean, when you start the week and people are putting a yellow sticker, hopefully they'll keep it up for the month until leading into June. But our emphasis would, yes, be that week, Small Business Week, National Small Business Week.
Okay, any other comments?
just a quick point of order. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Do we have a 9 o'clock?
Matt, no, that's not it. We got 10 more minutes.
Excuse me.
Point of order is just I made a motion to amend, but it needs a second before we can go further.
Second.
Okay, we don't.
I don't think we need that.
No.
You don't need one, because at this point it's discussion, and there's no, if you want to get super technical, there's no main motion on the floor, so there's nothing to amend.
Right.
At this point, you're just having general discussion over a concept, and if there's consensus to embed what Councilmember Wood has identified, going from a month-long to a week-long, we can roll without the necessity of any other further action, council action. Assuming that there's head nods around, and I thought I saw head nods going all around.
Not to belabor the point then, is just this is a request for council action, which is a legislative action, which is why I was amending it versus just discussing it.
Yeah, no, I think there's a clear understanding of where, at least on the staff side, where to go next in terms of evaluation of the concept.
Okay.
I see where Councilmember Wood was going. This title is a request for council action, but we were just requesting an action for study.
Got it.
Right.
So not for legislation.
Right.
Okay.
Good. Yay.
Any others? Okay, so we'll get this on the agenda for study. And there's 10 minutes left of the meeting, and I was remiss. I didn't say one more thing during my comments. It's the America 250 celebration for 250 years of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The America 250, the U.S. Semi-Quincentennial Commission was established in 2016, and it goes until 2027. They were at the NLC, and I happened to go upon their booth and had quite an extensive conversation with Mr. Ed Perez, the Director of State and Local Partnerships for this commission. It's an official commission anointed by the President of the United States. And on your dais is a pen. You're probably wondering why that pen was in front of you. And that is the official pen of the America 250 celebration. And I got the exception to the rule that I got several of them, not just one, to take. And part of it, it's been established for such a long time, and it started gearing up on March of 2024 with America's field trips, telling the stories, going across the nation, and just gleaning what Americana is and what it means to what it means to celebrate the Declaration of Independence. It's a unique experience in social politics called democracy. And so just to tell the American story from all facets, all eyes, through immigration and the Native Americans and everyone else that makes up an American. In the January 1st and throughout the rest of the launch until 2027, there's a challenge of America Gives. Volunteerism is supported and honored so that they would like it to be a record-setting year of volunteer service, so municipalities to collect all their service hours and nonprofits to collect their service hours, as well as business entities, so that they could celebrate that America Gives. And I would like you to know, Councilmember Wood, there is a museum day to honor America's museums, and that's on August 8th of 2026.
Okay.
The day of service, where hopefully communities will gather together for volunteerism, is Flag Day, June 14th of 2026, the day of service. And on September 17th of 2026 is the day of civic engagement and education to learn about our unique history, not only nationally, but locally as well. So visit our current Apple Orchard Museum, brought to you by the University Place Historical Society, and glean a little bit of our local history. I also would like to add that this project is a huge, big deal. It has a huge, big price tag. It is well over $25 million and up for the course of all of this from 2024 until 2027. So we are planning a 250th celebration in University Place. It may or may not be on the 4th of July. It might be on Movie in the Park. But whatever day it is, we will certainly declare our celebration and our support and our love for our country. So with that, I'll close my comment. And is there any other further comments for the good of the order? Seeing none, I will close the meeting for tonight. Thank you all for your work.